I just wanted to share with you a little bit about Dimensional Warfare Fleet. I've been playing with this stuff off and on for the last 20 plus years. Just when I have time, I get on it. When I don't, but I want to tell you a little bit about it so that you guys can kind of get a little bit of a handle of what it is and what I mean for it to do. So first thing, it's medium large scale space combat. It's made to go pretty fast play. I don't want anybody looking in books. You should just be able to look at your cards for your ships. You'll see those in a little bit. It's made for you to be able to convert and use stuff you already got. So if you got Babylon 5 Wars miniatures, if you got Star Wars stuff, if you got whatever, full thrust, you should be able to use that and convert it over to the system pretty easily. It uses squadrons and alternating activations, so you form your guys into different squadrons, and you take turns activating those. And there's limitations and rules to go along with that. As well, we'll be making a unique storyline and some unique miniatures, but a lot of them are designed to use stuff that's already in existence. But we'll have some unique stuff as we go along as well. Game uses D8s. After playing around with D6s, D10s, and all these other things, I thought D8s would work the best for what I want to do and for the numbers and the chances and just the possibilities. Inches, all your ranges are in inches, so you can measure them from the base of one ship to the base of another in inches, the closest point from base to base. It has initiative, crews, captains that are improved. You got normal crews, you got regular veterans, elite crews. You can try to steal activations if you have some good captains, and try to move your ships and attack before the other person can. Movement is pretty simple and quick. I'll go over that just really briefly. And there's a command radius where whatever your command ship is, your designated leader, you just got to stay within that. Otherwise, your ships suffer penalties when they're in that squadron. Okay. There's ship data cards that basically have they're about 4x6 inch in size by design. You can have them in hand. You shouldn't need to use anything else to reference what it does. They don't include additional captains that you might have or crews. They don't include cost of fighters and shuttles. That we might build multiple cards later on. It's something I'm still thinking about. Actions. So each ship has so many actions that it may perform. So you can slow down and speed up a little bit in combat without spending any actions. But if you're going to slam on the brakes or go full speed, it'll drain energy from the rest of your ship, or your crew might have to brace. So it's going to make them have to reduce their effectiveness of doing other things. So actions are used to basically control how many weapons your ships can do, if you're going to pull some evasive maneuvers and things like that. There's also leadership. So if you got captains, you got leaders, you got fleet leaders, they'll actually provide what are leadership points. So they can do things such as commanding ships to evade fire, command them to come in and attack, to go weapons free. There's things that you can do with leadership points that give you some flexibility as a fleet commander. Here is your typical your ship data card. Sorry, and it has all the information that you need. Again, this is usually printed about 4x6 in size. You'll have information in different blocks on it. The first one is basically what is the class or type of ship that you have. What is the name of that specific class, what kind of ship it is, which gives you an idea of roughly how big it is and what the purpose of it is, and what faction uses that ship specifically. Then you also have availability and some special. So availability comes in a variety, as you can see here. The more limited it is, it gets a little bit of break in cost, but you can't use many of them in your fleet. Same thing with the specials. Specials are basically how many fighters they have. So this specific ship has 4 points of fighters, which is basically a light fighter squadron, and it can launch them all in one at one time, and it carries one troop. And you'll read about those a little bit more in the rules. I won't go into detail on those now. The next thing is your ship block. That kind of gives you the stats for your ships. Your defenses, that's basically on a D8 what you need to roll to hit that ship. 40 is your sensors. That's how far out, how many in inches you can see other ships and detect them. Speed is basically how many inches your ship moves in a turn, and how many 45-degree angle turns your ship has. If your ship has like 5 or 6 turns, depending on if it's highly maneuverable, some of those turns can be actually exchanged for a 90-degree turn. So you can take 3 45-degree turns and turn them into one 90-degree turn, so you can turn your ship a little faster, and that's in the rules as well. The next step is, your points. All your ships will cost different points depending on how much armor, how much structure, how fast they go, all the weapons that it has. They all add up into the point cost for your individual ships, and that's all done in a spreadsheet to make it pretty easy. Now, this usually put a paper clip on the side to show what speed your ship is currently at. You can go full reverse, all stop, ahead full, flank speed. Like I said, you could switch up every round, move your paperclip, one level without any cost or anything. But if you're gonna go from flank speed to all stop instantly in a turn, then you're gonna have to spend an action point to do that. So every time you go more than one, you're gonna have to spend some actions to be able to perform that action. The next thing is your armor and structure. So every time a weapon hits, you roll d8 and see how much damage. If you have 4 armor, you'd subtract 4. So if the guy rolls 4, your weapon doesn't do any damage unless it has some other trait such as armor piercing or something that would lower your effective armor. The structure is how much damage the ship can take before it's destroyed. Crew gives you a rough idea of how much your crew can take, how much crew is on the ship. It's a combination. So just because you have a high-tech ship that has very little crew, but it has a lot of automation, doesn't mean your crew is going to be a little number. That just means that the actual conversion for your crew and everything will be a little different. Now let's go ahead and look at your crew. And like I said, you got regular, you got green crews, you got veterans, elites. They will add to your crew and your gunnery. So if you're doing a repair roll, if you got veteran crews, it'll help you repair a little faster. If you got elite crews, you might be better at shooting other guys. And then next to it, your other 2 stats are your actions. So this ship has 2 actions. And leadership points, if your ship is some sort of command ship, you can purchase that and basically put a command module onto the ship. So even if you don't have a high-tech captain, they do have some capabilities even without fleet leaders of some sort on the ship. The next thing is your point defense. Every ship, wants to be able to shoot down weapons that are being fired at it. So your point defense basically is how many dice you get to roll when you're attacked to try to intercept attacks. You have 3 different things on there. Your intercept is the attacks that are going after you. Your volley are attacks that are like swarm attacks against your whole squadron, and assist is what you can use to protect other ships. And weapons are also pretty quick and easy. You have just a description, which is mostly fluff. It doesn't really have an effect on gameplay. The type of weapon, basically linear and particle, they are built into the specials of the weapon. Different types of weapons give you different special abilities. How many of those that you have that can fire? So in this ship has 4 turrets, 2 forward and 2 aft, as you can see from the arcs. So he can fire all 4 at a time. You might have a weapon that has 6 turrets, but can only fire 3 at a time due to power restraints, and that'll be in the construction zone area of the game as well. Delay. So this weapon has a 1 delay, so basically it can fire, then it has to wait a turn, then it can fire again. Vulnerability. Different weapons, depending on what kind they are easier or harder to shoot down or counter. So that's your vulnerability. You have range bands. So if you're up to from 0 to 5 inches, you got +2 on your attack rolls because you're at point blank range. You basically have point blank, short range, medium range, long range, and extreme ranges. Damage is how many dice you roll. So, for example, this one, if you shoot all 4 turrets and hit with all 4 turrets, you would roll 6 dice for each of those turrets. So you'd have 24 damage dice that you could roll against your target, which for most smaller ships is going to obliterate it outright. The next is your specials, armor piercing. If the weapons are like these are linear cannons, so they could be deflected off of a shield if a ship has a shield on 7 or more on a D8. So once you hit, you roll and see if any of them are deflected. If your ship takes turret damage, you mark them off here and remove those turrets. And like I said before, the game is made to do conversions. So this is just an idea. Like I took a ship from Drop Fleet Commander and converted it over into the game, and it gives you an idea of what it would look like. But the idea is just that you could be able to use anything from any game, any miniatures that you have, and not have to buy any more. And then last, I'm not going to go into this in detail, but here's fighters and some of the stats of fighters. Those are not going to be in the initial, possibly they're not going to be in the initial rule book, the first run. It'll probably be in a module, the first module that gives it expansion. It'll have some carriers and some other rules that'll be added in that'll make the game nice. So, real quick introduction to Dimensional Warfare Fleet or Fast Play version. And if you have any questions or anything, post below. Thanks.